Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We are live on WION World is One. There's a continuous coverage on the situation in West Asia because Iran is at war with the United States and Israel. I'm Eric Njoka. The headlines of this hour. Fresh explosions rock Iranian capital as the war with the United States and Israel rages on for the fourth day. The explosions were heard from locations in central Tehran. It is not immediately clear what was targeted. The United Nations Human Rights Office urges investigation on the attack on a girls' school in Iran and share insights into the horrific incident. The UAE say it is not and will not accept any infringement on its sovereignty and the safety of its land. The UAE Defense Ministry says it has strategic reserves of artillery capable of fending off aerial threats for a long time. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says that there is no evidence that Iran is developing nuclear weapons and calls for immediate cessation of hostilities. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps warn they will unleash more intense attacks on the United States and Israel as the war rages on for the fourth day. The sterling slumps to a two-month low against the US dollar. Rising oil prices increase demand for the greenback. Euro also faces weakness. It is down around 1%.
This might be the saddest thing I've seen in a long time. I want you to listen to this.
Yesterday, I'm 65 years old. I'm legally blind. I'm on disability. I went to my doc and I lost 28 pounds in the last year. I did not need to lose 28 pounds. I did not try to lose 28 pounds. I lost the 28 pounds because I cannot afford to eat anymore. Under Biden, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Under Biden, I was able to put $100 a month away for food, along with my SNAP, and I did okay. I could get fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and meat. It is just me. But now, with grocery prices so high, propane, electricity out of this world, I now only allow myself $65 a month for food.
Sharon, are you on SNAP benefits?
Let me tell you, under Joe Biden, I received $80 a month for SNAP. That was taken away from me under Donald Trump. He took it away. He gave me $24 a month. I did receive that for a couple of months. Then he took it down to $12.50 a month. I said, screw you. So I'm not doing that no more. So now I get $65 a month, Mimi. And for them people out there, all these Republicans that are doing so flippin' well right now, I have 3 potatoes. I have a half a tomato. I have 3 bananas, 1 apple, 1 can of soup, a half a loaf of bread, 1 egg, and 1 can of green beans. I do not get paid until the 3rd. I am disability blind. I cannot drive a car. I'm 15 miles out of town, so I am not able to just trot my butt down to the food shelf. I used to volunteer at the food shelf. I can't even do that anymore. I don't understand. I'd like somebody to explain to me, why is it always the poor people that are helping the poor people? I don't understand. But what I want to say, Mimi, is that it's really close to coming. Like that man said, the end is coming near, and it can't be any more true for me.
That is Trump's America.
local bee farm is facing an unimaginable loss. Thousands of its bees and beehives turned to ash. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Ken Rice. That family's trying to figure out why someone might have intentionally killed all of their bees. KDKA's Barry Pintar has more.
Only about a week and a half ago, Badillion Honey Farm posted this video on social media talking about the farm's bees leaving their hives to enjoy the soon-to-be spring sunshine. The images we'll show you next may be troubling for some, as it shows devastation that would follow. On those same social media pages, the farm posted these pictures 9 days later with the caption, quote, "Today our hearts are heavy. On the 26th of February, at one of our bee yard locations, we witnessed the aftermath of deliberate destruction of our beehives," end quote. According to the bee farm, tens of thousands of bees were turned to ash, they suspect, deliberately burned.
When they rolled up on that hive location in Industry, it was pretty much burnt to the ground. Like, they burnt where they sat. They moved hives into a pile to continue burning.
This is the farm-owned retail shop located on Burgettstown Road in Hickory, Washington County. Products here are made from beehives at various locations. It was their location in Industry, Beaver County, where the hives were burned. The farm's locations produce everything from honey to beeswax to candles to soaps.
I could feel it. My heart just dropped, and we didn't say a word for a few minutes. We had to sink it in, look at the loss.
Thousands on social media shared the post, with hundreds commenting. The farm owners have filed a police report, and they're offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those possibly involved in this fire.
Your stomach sinks. It's heartbreaking, because they were alive, and we have a great affection for our bees. The thing that we say is, like, we keep the bees and they keep us. Like, it's important to us. We think about them all the time. So it was heartbreaking.
Meantime, the farm says they won't let this stop them. They say they fully intend to regroup and rebuild. Reporting from Industry, Pennsylvania in Beaver County.
Amazon's cloud unit, Amazon Web Services, or AWS, has confirmed damage to its data centers in the UAE and Bahrain following Iranian military strikes in the region. The cloud service provider said 2 of its facilities in the UAE were directly hit by drones, while a separate strike in Bahrain caused physical damage to infrastructure near one of its sites. In a statement posted on its status page, AWS said the strikes caused structural damage, disrupted power delivery to its systems, and in some cases triggered fire suppression responses, which led to additional water damage inside the facilities. AWS said it is working to restore full service as quickly as possible, but warned recovery is likely to take longer because of the physical damage to its infrastructure. The company said the outage has disrupted around a dozen core cloud services and has advised customers to back up critical data and shift operations to unaffected AWS regions where possible. Financial institutions using AWS services are among those affected by the disruption. The incident also highlights the growing strategic importance of the Gulf region for global technology companies. US tech firms have been positioning the UAE as a major regional hub for artificial intelligence computing used to power services such as ChatGPT. The damage to AWS facilities now raises fresh concerns about the vulnerability of critical cloud and AI infrastructure as regional conflict begins to directly affect the physical platforms that power global digital services.
African nationals were among those injured in an Iranian missile strike on the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi's Ministry of Defense said in a statement. 3 people from Pakistan, Nepal and Bangladesh were killed in the weekend attack, the ministry said. 58 others sustained minor injuries. They include people from Ethiopia, Eritrea, Uganda, Egypt and a number of Asian countries. Iran has launched dozens of ballistic missiles towards the UAE since Saturday, when Israel and the United States began their joint bombing campaign against the Islamic Republic. Tehran has retaliated with drone and missile strikes targeting Israel and several US military bases in the region, including in the UAE. Meanwhile, many foreign nationals have been left stranded as air travel across the Middle East was thrown into disarray by the conflict. Key flight routes and airspace have been closed, including in Dubai, Doha and Abu Dhabi, major hubs that connect long-haul routes between Europe, Asia, Africa and North America.
Amid growing concern among European leaders about wavering US commitments to help defend the continent, France says it will increase the size of its nuclear arsenal for the first time in decades. Speaking at a submarine base in Brittany, President Emmanuel Macron said faced with geopolitical upheaval, it will also intensify nuclear weapons cooperation with 8 European allies, including Britain.
C'est pourquoi j'ai ordonné.
That is why I have ordered an increase in the number of nuclear warheads in our arsenal. To put an end to any speculation, we will no longer disclose figures relating to our nuclear arsenal, unlike what might have been done in the past. So, to be free, one must be feared, and to be feared, one must be powerful. This increase in our arsenal is proof of that.
Cette augmentation de notre arsenal en témoigne.
Macron said that France, the European Union's only nuclear power, must strengthen its deterrent in the face of multiple threats as part of plans to bolster security on the continent.
Nous entrons sur le chemin.
We are entering onto the path of what I would call advanced deterrence. I would rather say it straight away. There will be no sharing of the final decision, nor of its planning, nor of its implementation. Under our Constitution, it belongs solely to the President of the Republic, who is answerable to the people of France.
Devant le peuple français.
Macron's announcement is a major doctrine change for France and the continent, which has relied primarily on the United States for deterring potential adversaries. The president added that under certain circumstances, French strategic assets could be deployed in other European countries.
Go! Go! Done, 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 done! Muhammad, ارجع. Muhammad!
You're fine? Really? You need something to help you? No problem, you're safe. You're safe, you're safe. Everything good? No problem. Thank you for helping us. Everything perfect?
شوف شوف لا والله حربية طيارة حربية طيارة حربية شوف 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 شوف
شوف شوف شوف شوف يا واحد شوف
شوف
هذا المسير يا الربع
شوف نزلوا هذول ايرانيين مدري شنو
شوف شوف لا والله حربية طيارة حربية طيارة حربية شوف 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 شوف
شوف شوف شوف شوف يا واحد شوف هذا المسير يا الربع
شوف نزلوا هذول ايرانيين مدري شنو
خرجنا على الظلم، خرجنا على هذا السيد البطل، هذا الرافع اسم الشيعة، ونستنكر من أمريكا وغير أمريكا ومن العرب ومن الخليج الذين دعموا الولايات المتحدة وإسرائيل والموت لهم، وإن شاء الله منتصرين عليهم بكل الأحوال.
We're going to analyse the latest for you now by taking a sideways look at you from Turkey. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan declaring that the main priority to his country now is to secure a ceasefire in Iran and open the door to dialogue. Well, let's cross to Ankara. We're going to talk to our correspondent Jasper Mortimer. Jasper, give us the view from there after, amid those evacuations, those people leaving, as we saw Iran heading into Turkey. I mean, how would you say that the conflict is being viewed there?
The people coming across the border has not got to the stage of an exodus by any means. You know, in June, when the US and Israel attacked Iran, again, hundreds came across. But, you know, Turkey hasn't had to erect tent cities to accommodate them or anything like that. President Erdogan has been very even-handed on this conflict. On the one hand, he's condemned the US and Israel for attacking Iran. And on the other hand, he's also condemned the Iranian counterattacks on the Gulf states. And President Erdogan has called the Saudi Crown Prince and the Emir of Kuwait to express his sympathies for Iranian missiles hitting their territories. Inside Turkey, Erdogan's opposition to the war is supported across the political spectrum. You know, the pro-Kurdish party DEM is often opposed to Erdogan, but it too has come out against America and Israel's attacks on Iran, saying it hasn't forgotten the fact that the mullah's regime in Tehran has killed tens of thousands of Iranians, but that regime change is for the Iranians themselves. It shouldn't come about through external powers. As to the person in the street, he or she is not greatly concerned. You know, this crisis is all over the newspapers and the television channels because war makes for good pictures. But this is a matter of curiosity, not concern. However, that attitude will change if Iranian missiles start landing on Turkish soil.
Jasper, the US also has its own military interests, its own bases within Turkey as well. So far, at least, those not being targeted at all by the Iranians. That could change, though?
Yes, it could. Look, there are two Turkish bases where the Americans have a strong presence. The big one is Incirlik, an air base outside the southern Turkish city of Adana, where the US has dozens of planes and reportedly nuclear bombs. The other is a much smaller place, the Kuricik radar station in the southeastern province of Malatya, where the radar equipment is American. Now, both of these bases are integral to NATO defenses. And before the war, Iran warned that if it were to be attacked, it would strike US bases wherever they are. So, yes, you know, Iran could target these two bases, but I don't think they will. You know, at this time, more than ever, Iran needs friends. And Turkey is the only major player in this region that has come out strongly against the US and Israeli attacks on Iran. And I'm sure Tehran appreciates that.
Jasper, thanks very much. Jasper Mortimer, our correspondent, talking to us there from Ankara.
It was just, I was like, this feels like it's out of a movie. It just did not feel real.
We had been in the lower ground floor of our hotel for many hours, trying to decide what to do. And, you know, people were bringing in mattresses from the sunbeds to sleep in the corridors and trying to stay away from any glass. And I just decided that actually I thought the best idea was to try and get a car and get to my husband in Oman. I never really expected that to happen in Dubai. I feel very relieved that we are here. I think, you know, I'm glad that we did make the decision to leave.
Here. Oh my God, it's a bomb.
Oh my God. I am starting to feel like, what does my future look like here? It's very uncertain right now for me.
Some people got evacuated, and some people are looking forward to going home. How we feel is not really the objective. Completing the mission is the objective, and regardless, we got to stand behind our commander-in-chief, regardless of what happens. So it is what it is.
I went for a little walk around just to see what was going on, and there was a room that I went into as well, and it was an air-conditioned room, and there was even more people than there were outside in the car park in this tiny room, babies, kids, parents. It was just, I was like, this feels like it's out of a movie. It just did not feel real.
We actually were on a boat when the Fairmont was hit, so we could see the missiles kind of flying above the boat. But yeah, I do think I'm going to go home as soon as possible.
Did you know the U.S. isn't just pressuring Iran, it's countering China? 2 U.S. carrier strike groups, USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Gerald R. Ford, now sit near the Middle East, backed by stealth fighters, destroyers, and surveillance aircraft. Officially, it's about Iran's nuclear program. Unofficially, it's about energy leverage. China imports over 10 million barrels of oil per day. Nearly half comes from the Middle East, and about 20% of global oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow choke point Iran can disrupt. If conflict erupts, Tehran could mine or close the strait. Oil prices spike, shipping costs rise. China's factories feel the squeeze. For Washington, weakening Iran means pressuring Beijing's energy lifeline. Without confronting China directly, for Beijing, it's a dilemma: intervene and escalate, or stay cautious and risk economic shock.
So oil is spiking right now after the Revolutionary Guard's commander did say reportedly that the Strait of Hormuz is closed and that they will set fire to any ship trying to pass. That is according to Reuters. Now, of course, they can't just close the strait. There is no gate or anything like that, but they can make it essentially impassable for ships through things like mines. We've already seen traffic in the strait come to a near standstill, but they are now reportedly saying that this strait is closed. Of course, about 20 million barrels per day of oil and products do flow through the key waterway, which is why we're seeing now a little bounce here in extended trading for oil, now up 80%, TI at 72.34.
Political analysis says the following: roughly 1/5 of global oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for world trade, meaning markets are more concerned with whether barrels can move than with spare capacity on paper. If flows through the Gulf are constrained, additional production will provide limited immediate relief, making access to export routes far more important than headline output targets. Cenk.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons why they might have added the Iranian Navy to the list of all the things we must destroy in Iran before we can leave. And so one of the reasons is, of course, Israel. That's 99% of the reason why we're in the war in the first place, and they don't want any country in the Middle East to have any weapons. They want everyone to be defenseless, otherwise they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe, right? But the second reason is, well, because they could block the Strait of Hormuz. And so if they do, we're gonna have economic problems. And we'd like a war free of any problems. We'd like to kill you all. We'd like to change your government. We'd like to, bomb hospitals and schools. But you don't get to do anything back to us. Oh my God, you close the Strait of Hormuz, our gas prices are up slightly. We are slightly inconvenienced by this terrible war that we've started against you. Well, yeah, what did you think they were gonna do? They're gonna fight back. Like there's this constant thing that is in media and in politics in Washington where they feel like that we have a right to attack anyone and they do not have a right to defend themselves. And it is another Israelification of our government because Israel claims that right all the time. We have a right to occupy the Palestinians for 58 years. They do not have a right to fight back. If they fight back, they're terrorists. If we keep slaughtering them, we're a special ally. And everybody in the media goes along with it. Now, there's a second issue that I want to talk about here. Our stock market has lost its mind. So what happened this morning? I've been tracking it because of the war, right?
The Dow.
The Dow's up, okay, to 50,000. So no, but seriously, in the beginning of the day, it took a significant dip because we were like, oh, we're at war. And oh my God, the Strait of Hormuz and the oil but also other shipping going through that strait. And then by the afternoon, they're like, don't worry about it. War doesn't have any costs, and oil prices are up. That's good for the market. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. At some point, people pay those prices, and we run out of money, so we can't buy anything else. That is not good for the market. That's terrible for the market. I look, Wall Street is even crazier these days than Washington is, and that seems near impossible. But no matter what happens, they keep buying like morons.
I know.
They're like AI is coming, it's gonna wipe out 25% of jobs. Our economy will be absolutely pulverized. They're like, but the AI companies are gold. Let's buy. So there's a giant crash coming. I don't know when it is, but this is totally unsustainable. And these morons, every day they buy more instead of realizing what economic pain we're about to go through. And we were already in pain. But guys, this is just the beginning. By the time this war is concluded, God knows when, and the AI apocalypse hits, this is gonna seem like a dream. It's gonna get much. I'm Mr. Optimist, but my job is to tell you the truth and level with you guys. And I'm telling you, especially as far as the economy goes, things are gonna get way, way worse. And I don't know when they're gonna get better.
Well, luckily we have competent leaders that will help guide us through it all.
All right, futures under pressure again ahead of Tuesday's open here. S&P futures down 1.48%, Dow futures down 1.45%, and the Nasdaq leading the way lower at minus 1.91%. Let's take a look at some cues from the last session here. Consumer staples, discretionary, and healthcare stocks led losses on Monday as most S&P 500 sectors declined, though energy and industrials rose, and the market closed green. Sorry, just needed to do a little victory lap there. Iranian state media reported that Tehran has closed the Strait of Hormuz and warned it would fire on any vessel attempting to pass. Also, Israel's IDF said it carried out simultaneous targeted strikes on military targets in Tehran and Beirut, including a strike on the Iranian state broadcaster. According to Polymarket, traders are heavily leaning towards a down open on Tuesday, with the market pricing the S&P 500 to open lower at 93%. And indeed, it sure looks like that's what's going to happen here versus 7% up. That's going to be a losing bet. Don't take it. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 3.09%, and the 2-year bond, and actually that's incorrect, that was 4.09. We're back above 4. And the 2-year bond was at 3.54%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections are showing a 97.3% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current rates unchanged for March. Now, as Brian said in the open, if we look ahead, it is an 87.3% for April, and it is a 64.3% for June. Now, we have several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one is going to be Credo Technology Group, and the ticker on this one is CRDO. It declined 12.1% despite reporting better than expected earnings for the third quarter. Credo's Q3 adjusted EPS was 107. That beat the 95-cent estimate, and sales came in at 407.012 million. That beat the estimate of 400.232, so it beat by about 7 million on the sales. Credo Group sees Q4 sales at 425 to 435 million. That was versus the estimate of 422.61 million. The next stock on our list is going to be Asana, and the ticker on this is ASAN. It rose 3.29% after posting upbeat earnings for the fourth quarter after the closing bell on Monday. Asana saw Q1 adjusted EPS of 7 to 8 cents. That was versus the 7-cent estimate. And it sees sales of 202.5 to 204.5 million. That was versus the 204 million estimate. Asana also sees full year 27 adjusted EPS of 36 to 37 cents. That's versus a 36-cent estimate. And it sees sales of 850 to 858 million. That was versus the 856.961 million. So it looks like that estimate is in line there. The next stock on our list is going to be Coherent, and the ticker on this one is COHR. It dropped 5.32% despite signaling a strategic agreement with NVIDIA, which includes a direct equity investment and a multi-billion dollar purchase commitments. The next stock on our list is our egg guy. This is our favorite egg guy. This is Cal-Maine Foods, and the ticker on this is CALM, C-A-L-M. And it was up 0.25% after it announced the acquisition of Creighton Brothers, LLC. The last stock on our list is going to be CrowdStrike. The ticker on this one is CRWD. It dropped 2.08% as analysts expect it to report earnings of $1.10 per share on revenue of $1.3 billion after the closing bell today.
Now, more details are coming in on the earthquake that struck Iran earlier today. According to the United States Geological Survey, an earthquake of 4.3 magnitude struck near the city of Gerash in southern Iran. The quake occurred at a shallow depth of around 10 kilometers and is typical of natural tectonic activity in the seismically active region. Seismically, this is consistent with natural tectonic activity in southern Iran, which sits along the active Zagros fault system, where shallow quakes are common. However, the timing during the ongoing war has drawn attention to the quake. The city of Gerash lies in southern Iran along a corridor that connects key energy, port, and military infrastructure. Social media was abuzz with chatter around the timing of the earthquake, with many insinuating their own theories. To recap, there has been a 4.3 magnitude earthquake that has struck southern Iran during the war with US and Israel.
And amid the rising tensions and attacks in West Asia, the French nuclear-powered aircraft carrier FS Charles de Gaulle, which operates around 30 Rafale Marines and several other support aircraft, has been redirected from its ongoing deployment in North Atlantic and Baltic Sea, with the carrier and its strike group ordered to immediately head to the Eastern Mediterranean amid the ongoing conflict with Iran. So that's the latest that's coming in as the tensions continue to rise. The rising attacks in West Asia. Now, what we're learning is that the French nuclear-powered aircraft carrier FS Charles de Gaulle, which operates around 30 Rafale Marines and several other support aircraft, has been redirected from its ongoing deployment in North Atlantic and Baltic Sea, with the carrier and its strike group ordered to immediately head to the Eastern Mediterranean amid the ongoing conflict with Iran. My colleague Mir Farid continues to stay with us with more on this. Mir, over to you. Help us understand this move better that has been taken by France.
If you remember, yesterday a French naval base was hit in Abu Dhabi, and that was surprising because France was not part of the US-Israel plan or this campaign against Iran. So that surprised everyone. And what was the thinking behind this? Obviously, it seems that Iran, as we have been saying earlier, wants this to move beyond the present. Obviously, we know that this is right now Iran versus United States and Israel. But the way Iran is targeting their assets in Middle East countries, and then also they have targeted this French naval base. So this seems has now got a response from France, who have sent this massive ship of theirs. Now, this is an aircraft carrier that has that is equivalent to what the United States is also has deployed around the Persian Gulf. So they're also sending these assets. But this really adds a wider dimension to this conflict, and it's. I mean, everyone is fearing that various countries will now come into this, and that's what exactly is happening. We also got information that even Germany is thinking of joining this US-Israel campaign. So more and more countries are joining this. But importantly, the allies of Iran, be it Russia and China, they have been silent on this. They have been kind of fence-sitters. But once they see, I mean, various European countries and big powers really joining US-Israel, will be interesting to see how they react, whether they come into this, what kind of statements come in. And this was the fear. People who analyze this conflict and who have been really looking at it from an independent perspective, they were fearing that this should not turn into World War III. Now, while we are very far away from that, but you are seeing various countries who till yesterday or 2 days back were distancing themselves from this conflict or this engagement are now joining this. So this is really not good as far as this whole conflict really spiraling out of the present areas and really engulfing new dimensions. And that's something that is happening right now. And as I said, even Germany could come into this, and then you also have the Middle East countries now saying that they have a right to respond to what Iran has done. It doesn't matter whether Iran is saying that they are targeting US bases in these countries, but they have targeted these countries, so they could also come into this and retaliate. So that really is a scary proposition. Right. This is something that the world does not want right now. But quite clearly, this conflict is now escalating. New countries coming into
Definitely.
This, and this is quite disturbing.
We see forces slowly being mobilized, and there's more on this very front. Mir, stay with us.
The reason
that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson, but they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action. This is going to be a quick and decisive action, and we're going to create the conditions, first for the Iranian people to get control of their destiny, to form their own democratically elected government, which will make Iran a different Iran altogether. We had to take the action now, and we did. Otherwise, the Iranian mass murder regime would have immunity from future action. But we are creating, America and Israel together are creating the conditions for them to do so. I think that if we go through what we plan to do, I think it will create conditions for peace. This is not an endless war. This is in fact something that will usher in an era of peace that we haven't even dreamed.
אנחנו קראנו בפרשת השבוע, זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק. אנחנו זוכרים ואנחנו פועלים. ואם למשטר האימים הזה יהיה נשק גרעיני, הם יאיימו על האנושות כולה. לכן יצאנו כדי להרחיק גם את הסכנה הזאת, קודם כל מעצמנו, מעלינו. אבל אנחנו פועלים כאן, יחד עם ארצות הברית, בשם ולמען האנושות כולה. אני שואב כוח עצום מהעמידה האיתנה של אזרחינו, מגבורת לוחמינו ומפקדינו. אנחנו קראנו בפרשת השבוע, זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק. אנחנו זוכרים ואנחנו פועלים.